There are many, many stories here, and absolutely the most fascinating is Father Oschwald, who came from Germany, immigrated from Germany back in 1854, brought about 70, 80 of his followers along with him. Sight unseen, they purchased this property. They wanted to come to Wisconsin area because there's a lot of Germans living here, and they felt more comfortable here than other parts of the country. And they bought the property sight unseen from the government, and they started a community, and as years went by, more people came, they built more buildings, they had tragedies, they had some successes, more people came, they started a school, they started an orphanage, they started a religious seminary for teaching priests. It was just a wonderful story, and it's a very important story as far as the history of Wisconsin goes. In 1873, Father Oschwald passed away, and the community didn't really have any leadership. They kept it going, but they didn't have the push or the drive that Father Oschwald furnished them. So people got older; they weren't expanding the way they liked to. In 1895, the Salvatorians, who were a group that started in Rome back in the 1880s, wanted to expand to the United States. And it just happened that they heard about the property. Father Francis Jordan, a German priest who was stationed in Rome, they got him to come over, take a look at it. He took a look at the property, and about 2 days later they made arrangements with the Oschwald survivors that the Salvatorians would purchase the property, and then they expanded into the 20th century. They built the seminary building. It was built in 1906. They continued to work on a church that started back in 1898, and they completed that building. They put up additional classrooms and woodworking shops and things like that to expand, and through the years it became a very, very active religious seminary for the teaching of priests. In 1939, they completed the classroom, a 4-story building, and it really in the 1940s, 1950s was probably their prime period of time. It got so the other seminaries in the state competing for the students, and it just various circumstances they no longer could function as a religious training school. In about 1960, I believe it was, they decided that they would discontinue it as a seminary, and they changed it into a coeducational school for needy children, for special cases, and they operated until about 1970. And then they just decided it just wasn't going over the financial problems. The Salvatorians decided to close it down, and that was where we stand today.
I'm Jerry Slavic, and I'm actually out of Green Bay, but I spend a great deal of time here at the JFK Prep, as it's mainly known. I've owned the land now for 4 years. I got exposed to this place and then decided to buy it because 2 people I know just happened to stop in there at night, day, whenever it's open all the time, and prayed. I noticed the church itself. They got a beautiful church here that you'll see, and the windows were not very broken. There's very, very few of them. In fact, in the whole church, there's only 27 windows broken, whereas the school, all but 3 windows were broken because of vandalism and because they had a big storm in here 8 years ago. But I had the feeling we got some neat people around here that respect God enough that they wouldn't break the windows of the church, but they sure did the school.
There's the 4-story classroom building, which was built in 1939, and that's a very well-built building, but unfortunately vandals have broken every window in the place and done a lot of damage inside. However, because of the building being so well built, that there is talk of refurbishing that and finding a use for it.
And there's 2 types of graffiti that I found here. One is gone, and that was the bad graffiti. And not a real lot of it. I say of all the graffiti, it was probably maybe 10 to 20%. But the other was art. The kids got in here and thinking it's abandoned, which it was, 20 years. And they got a can of spray paint and did stuff that I just can't believe. It's beautiful. In the gym, they had done all 4 walls, and it was so beautiful. I hated to cover it up. And there was probably only 3 or 4 bad things on there. And those I painted out right away. But I had a hard time painting the last wall because it was so beautiful. But because they're using it now for other kids and that, and the gentleman renting it from me didn't feel it was appropriate having it in there, we did paint it over. So graffiti is an expression of people, young people normally. And I even had an experience where 4 of the kids came back, and they were helping me break out the remainder of the windows in the school, because some were only partly broken. And they were with the graffiti, and they told me what it meant and who it was and that. And some were just kind of showing they love another person, and so it was kind of cute for the most part. Like I say, there was some bad. So we had a good time in the graffiti. Some people come back now. I don't really welcome any of the people like that are just for graffiti. But like I say, from time to time, people have come back to help out. And some things are coming back now that were taken from here. Some of the young people who are now in their 20s had taken stuff from here and kept in their bedrooms and whatever, just felt to take some of it. But someone's coming back, and then, boy, they tell me, now don't be telling the police, I don't want to get arrested for this, I'm bringing it back to you, because I see things moving. Those that trespass, we have arrested. And I've gone a separate step. I've closed in all the buildings now, and anybody that comes here, they have to break into a building, and that's called breaking and entering, and I'm asking the police to go for breaking and entering, not trespassing anymore, which could mean as much as 3 to 5 years in prison. As far as other people coming here, if they're welcome, well, I have a good time. I did have one priest break down and cry. We are moving along on the buildings, mainly those 3, but the church has got some disrepair, and he went in there and he just apologized to me and said, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to cry, and he had to leave. We've got a little problem in there. And he remembers it's so beautiful and clean and so of stature. We have gone into 3 buildings. It was recommended when I first picked this up to take one building and bring it around. Well, I brought what I call a Renaissance around now. You're actually in that building right now with the beautiful views and everything. And I did that kind of for myself. And then we started another building that has 48 dorms in it. They're rooms for the priests, and that was the latest building other than the gym that was built.
I'm happy to see that Mr. Slavic is interested in preserving this property. Maybe someday it'll look the same way as it did back in 1960 when it was in its prime. I hope that'd be very, very nice to see that.
And what I'm looking for now is to get some buildings going so that we can get some funds going and then keep the rest of it standing. That and with the help of other people. There's a gentleman right now, as I said here, working in the gym. He's working in the basement now to try to work out the school that they had here, at least button it up so it won't be destroyed anymore. The windows were knocked out, as I said earlier, and so he's buttoning them up. He just feels that God wants him to do that. So we're moving on that. The gym is now state approved. It's been, the heat's in it, they're playing ball. It's an indoor soccer court now. In this afternoon, Saturday, there'll be a bunch of kids over, 20, 30 kids over there playing soccer. And I have to be honest too, I went around with some people that said, rather than saying, oh, tear the thing down, they said, hey, you know, you could make something out of it. And it would take this and that, and so you might want to think about picking it up. And so I did, and I'm really excited about it. I'm happy about it. I've met some wonderful people. The highlight of my life is when the people come here that used to be here, and other people come down to help because they just have a feeling they want to keep it standing. And that's basically where I am. I basically want to keep it standing. We're going to put it in the historical register. And so that's how I kind of found out about it.
There's all kinds of possibilities that we've explored. So as time goes on, we hope to keep the place here, and it qualifies as being a historic site, and I think it's certainly there's so much history and so much interest here. I think that will continue.